Everybody. If you're watching this as a rerun, you can skip ahead about 11, 12 minutes. Getting into the radio portion of it, just the prelude, pregame show here. 1 inch of snow by Friday. Nah. What is going on here? I hope we get some moisture. Man, oh man. Let me see what the forecast. Windy tomorrow, windy on Monday. Yep. 32% chance of snow next Friday. Good enough. If that's how we have to get our moisture, I guess it's how we're going to get our moisture. All right. Gonna get it somehow. Dry and dusty. We got a fire watch in effect for a neighboring county. Good morning, Karen. Morning. Oh, boy. I hope I have all that stuff on my calendar here. Chili cook-off. Gala day. Morning, Dave. How are things over on the Minnesota side? Man, what a beauty day yesterday. Should be a nice day today, I think, and then the wind's picking up after this, but as it warms up, huh? One shot cap. Good morning, sir. Suppose I could get my my guy on here. Get the Oren here. Let's see. There. Morning, Wayne. Brian, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Oren. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh, pretty good.
Good.
I'm hearing some feedback of myself in the background. You don't have anything turned on, do you?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Well, maybe I'll no, that went away. Okay, I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, what the hell's been happening down there? You guys getting any moisture or what?
No, we're missing it and really missing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how about you guys? I know you had a little rough winter there for a while.
Yeah, we pretty much got rid of most everything that we have here now, and it's dry. We need moisture. We have actually the neighboring county over in Montana has a fire watch here today, so
Yep.
On March 8th.
Yep, I think we're in the next 3 days with the high winds and stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, 30 to 40 mile an hour winds, and yeah. Well, back to 30 years ago, my dad always said, if we can get the winter wheat through March, the Dust Bowl in March, he said, it'll make it.
Yeah.
If we can't, if it doesn't static off, so.
Yeah.
So, but, I don't know. All doom and gloom till the first 2 inches of moisture.
Well, we need something this spring, don't we?
Oh, boy, yeah. We do. I mean, that's just it, Scott. I mean, it is dry. This goes back a few years ago when I sent Governor Noma a picture of my foot sticking in the crack in the ground. And I literally had my foot stuck in the crack. And it's getting to that point again here.
Yeah, it is. It's our ground is, we don't have quite that big of cracks yet, but it's definitely cracked around the yard, and started the fencing regimen here yesterday, and the snow damage wasn't so much, but we have a lot of our old elm and ash trees. They're just got to the age and maybe a little bit of dry rot, but the wind has broken so many of the trees over on the fence lines, and
yep,
it's a lot of work.
Yep.
Carrying a chainsaw everywhere a guy goes.
Well, I was just going to say the best thing that I purchased was them damn 20-volt DeWalt tools, and then I ended up with a 60-volt DeWalt chainsaw.
And you like that? I haven't got one of those yet.
I just for that fact, carrying it up and down the draw and not having to try to start it, and then, oh crap, either it's flooded or you're gas and all that stuff. You pull the trigger for 20 seconds or whatever, cut a branch off, a couple of chunks or whatever, and you let off the trigger and it's dead. And, you pull the trigger again, it's live. So they are handy.
Excuse me. I purchased last year to add to my fencing collection of stuff is a DeWalt stapler, wood post stapler. Man, I mean, it's heavy to carry with me, but holy moly, it takes those old cedar posts and it'll smash a staple in those buggers.
You bet.
Yeah.
Yep. Brother and I share one, and that's the same way. Them old Red Heart cedar posts, some of them, you hit them and Lance, it just almost shattered them.
Yeah. Oh, I did shatter one yesterday. I was like, well, it'll make it one more year, and I had to replace it. So.
Yep.
Well,
what do you want to yak about, I guess?
Well, we'll talk a little bit about the eminent domain bill that you guys had down there. Talk a little private property rights, and then anything. You guys don't have a lot of legislative for the game and fish, which is nice to see compared to North Dakota.
Yeah.
So
I wrote down a few things that I followed up on, especially game and fish.
Yeah, so. Hold on one second here. Stations 702-00, 702 coming up here, so you can time things out. 702-00, 802 Central Time on Mark. Okay, sorry about that, Oren.
No, you're fine. So no, but there wasn't a lot. I don't know. I just wrote down a few of them, I guess,
Yep.
So, but
one guy says the Milwaukee stapler kicks DeWalt's ass. I couldn't find. I was looking for the Milwaukee one, and nobody was carrying one, but they did have the DeWalt, so that's why I got the DeWalt.
Gotcha. The reason why I ended up DeWalt is we remodeled a house and barn after. It was a tornado here, came through a few years back, and I ended up acquiring a lot of the DeWalt stuff, so I just stuck with it. And I know people that got neighbors that got Milwaukee, and they like them too.
So the guy that just did this, so he had all DeWalt, and I think it was because of DeWalt charger that burnt his shop down, and then he went and took all the money and got Milwaukee. So.
Yep. I might do that too.
He was a DeWalt guy, so there you go.
I might do the same thing. Yep.
Let's see. Yep. Gene Cox, good morning. Dan Brown, morning. Thanks for tuning in here this morning. Let's see. I better get. Let's see. We got a minute, 2 minutes left here before we go on. I got bull sales, man. Holy moly!
Oh, they're
busy.
They're going rampant, aren't they?
They are.
Yep. I got to go down to Oklahoma this afternoon. I fly out and go down to Oklahoma for the National Farmers Union Convention, and I'm going to be online Monday on shower sale and Bryant shower sale over here, and see what I can pick up, hopefully. So,
yeah, I bought mine early and I spent a lot.
I don't know if it matters early or late. Right now, people are spending a lot.
Yeah, well,
that's okay. We got markets are pretty good.
Let's hope it stays like that. Yeah.
Yes, I just weaned my calves last Saturday, 1 week ago. So I usually put about 45 days on them before I move them to market, and then fall calves. And I watching prices this week, and I might move them sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why pump more feed into them the way they're marketing out right now?
Exactly.
Jeez.
So
that's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have the opportunity to have enough feed to do any backgrounding, but I sell right off the cow. Don't you fall calf, don't you?
Yep, all fall calf. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the best time to thermal. It's the other night it was 40 degrees out too, but usually it's about 60 degrees out, and you're in a t-shirt and cold beverage and a thermal, and right in the middle of that fall calving deal, them females can just smell. They run them pups in early September. And you can get rid of a lot of them that way.
All right, Oren, we got 40 seconds until showtime here,
Okay.
so I'm going to turn you down here. We're going to go quiet for the last part of your stations. 30 seconds to showtime, 30 seconds on mark. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of Dakota Prairie Outdoors Radio, heard all across the great states of North Dakota and South Dakota, and many others because of great radio stations like KGFX out of here, KOLY out of Mobridge, K-Fire 550 celebrating their 100 years this year, out of Bismarck, Mandan, KCJB Minot, KLTC Dickinson, thank you, and around the globe here on my YouTube channel. Thanks for subscribing to that. Don't forget about all the bull sales coming up around the corner, too. Holy moly. You'll hear many, many of those and around there. Support that ranching industry. My guest today from South Dakota here, fourth generation farmer rancher, Oren Lesmeister. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Scott. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, it looks like just a beautiful Saturday out here this morning in the Badlands, so I'm kind of excited to get out. I got a lot of things. I'm getting ready to start calving, and you're sitting in easy mode right now because you're a fall calving kind of guy. And
Yep.
so I'm moving in. I've got to get the cows moved. I got to get them out of the deep stuff and into the calving pastures. And yeah, it's that time of year for a lot of us
Yep.
here. So, but a little background: you used to serve as the South Dakota House Minority Leader, and then South Dakota has term limits, so you limited out. So, what are you
Yep.
doing with all your extra time? Holy cow!
I'm feeding my cows right. That's what I tell everybody. It's amazing. You don't realize how much time the legislation takes up,
Yeah.
because we think, well, it's 3 months out of the year, but really it's almost an everyday job year round, especially summer committees and different things. But right now, this winter, we've had an open winter too, but I've really enjoyed putting out the right amount of feed, not binge feeding, to get through a week while I'm gone, relying on my wife to open water tanks for me and still love me and things like that. But no, it's really been refreshing to be home and take care of things way they're supposed to be done.
Yeah. And not to take away the legislative side of thing. I mean, thank you for serving because South Dakota's every year, right?
Correct.
Yeah, North Dakota's every other year. North Dakota's looking at going to every year. That bill has been proposed, and because they put 8-year term limits on, so technically you're only serving 4 years. What do you think about that? Is every year better, or does it just mean we got more and more bills that they're going to be pushing in?
Well, that's a double-edged sword because every year, if there's issues that arise that need to be taken up, yes, you can call a executive branch can call a special session and bring everybody in and take care of it. But personally, I think possibly, I've never been in a 2-year session.
Yeah.
But personally, for me, I think every year is okay. We limit ourselves to 40 days total. A lot of times it's not even total of 40 days to get our work done. That limits some of the amount of bills that come in.
Sure.
We have pretty darn good people in place that some frivolous bills that come through just go away pretty quickly, and we take care of what we really need to do. So for me personally, I like the every year 3-month session.
Interesting. Well, it's a good take at it. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here is, South Dakota's kind of going through a little change with Kristi Noem getting into the federal side of things, and Larry Roden taking over for Kristi here for, is it another year or is it 2 years?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years left on that. One thing I seen in the South Dakota side of news was the eminent domain bill. I call it the eminent domain bill. I don't know what it actually was, but they explained that and what passed through South Dakota because they said you cannot use eminent domain, right? I mean, that's basically the bottom line of it.
Well, okay, so 1052. There's quite a few eminent domain bills the last few years.
Okay.
So, and a lot of them, all of them have failed over the last couple of years. So, and it had to do with the carbon pipelines.
Yep.
Some other public utility stuff got tied up into this. Finally sorted it out. This year, the body was able to bring what they call House Bill 1052. And what it does, it prohibits the eminent domain, use the eminent domain for carbon oxide pipelines. Just basically carves that one right out. And it was passed through the House, through the Senate. They did try to amend it in the Senate on committee and floor, that if, in this case, Summit Carbon Solutions had gotten 67% or more voluntary easements, then they could use it to finish the project. That failed, and it was passed through the Senate, and the governor signed it. So, yeah, we finally got it done. Took 3 years to get it all worked out, but it is finally done.
And it's crazy because of that, the first time I had you on the program was talking about the pipeline, and now North Dakota Legislative is going through a whole bunch of different bills that are dealing with the same thing. Not necessarily eminent domain so much, but private property rights and how that's taken care of. So how does this affect the carbon pipeline? If South Dakota does what you guys did there, how does it affect the end of it going through North Dakota? They just have to get permission, right? I mean, that's the bottom line.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of people claim that this will stop the pipeline. Maybe it will. That's up to Summit Carbon Solutions and their negotiations with the property owners. This doesn't block the pipeline. It doesn't stop the pipeline. It just says, you know what? You're not going to use eminent domain for this. You're not going to come in and if somebody doesn't want this or doesn't agree to terms, you can't just go file a lawsuit and push on. They're going to have to sit down at the table now and truly negotiate. And this all started, if you go back a couple years ago when Will Mortensen and I were on with you, we had told you then that, Summit didn't start this off very well. I think they're trying to make amends and change their ways, but they had some people that came in and kind of strong-armed some people, and that's what tipped this thing all upside down on them. And now they're trying to back up and, I guess, do it right on the second time. And we'll see. I still hope the project goes through. I think, ethanol is pushing on it. Corn is pushing on it. Even soybean is behind it. So maybe it is needed. Maybe it's not. But that does not stop the project. I guess that's the bottom line. They just cannot use eminent domain. Right.
Now, what's the story? I heard that some people say that this was good for Governor Roden, and it also is going to make it his last time serving. Did you see any of that story or know anything about that?
Well, that's just both sides of the aisle, as they call it. There's people out there, in the industry that I'm sure are going to use him signing this bill against him as far as, hindering economic development, and they're trying to say he's anti-ethanol now and different things. But on the flip side of it, just like in his news conference, he stood behind property rights ever since he's been in office, which has been, quite some time ago originally. And so kudos to him.
Yeah. No, it's good to see the both sides of the story. And that's what I appreciate having you on, because you're in the thick of things down there. And even though you're not serving anymore, I'm sure that you still pay attention quite a bit to what's going on.
I ended up in Pierre a couple of different times this year at the Capitol. Of course, still keep in touch with a lot of friends. That's the part I probably do miss, Scott, is I met a lot of great people in the 8 years I was there in Pierre. Yeah. Still stay in touch with them, still stay involved. But the learning, that's really what a guy misses is the stuff that you don't even think of, that, that comes out of municipalities. There's these larger cities and you go, what?
Well, we're up against a break here. Oren Lesmeister is my guest here. If you have any questions, comments, 888-9-DAKOTA. That's 888-932-5682 if you want to call in, or you can text me that as well. Back after these messages. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale is Sunday, March 9th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time at Lemon Livestock. Selling 50 Black Angus bulls with sires like Ellingson Brickhouse, SAB Downpour, Ellingson Badlands, Ellingson Navigator, and Sits Resilient. Whether you're looking for cow bulls or heifer bulls, the Cadiz Ranch has you covered. For videos and a catalog, go to DV Auction. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale coming up on Sunday, March 9th, Lemon Livestock.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
If you're in the market for Red Angus bulls with performance, efficiency, and longevity, check out the 2025 private treaty offering from Dry Creek Ranch. Sons out of Duff Redblood, HXC Allegiance, 6 Mile Timberlake, and Wasm Seneca are up for grabs. We are committed to providing the highest quality genetics to help maximize your herd's productivity and long-term success. Stop in at the ranch anytime near Amadon, North Dakota, or give us a call at 701-523-8285 to visit about the bulls. Check out our program at drycreekranchnD.com or view our private treaty info on DV Auction.
Piper's Auction and Realty would like to invite you to their upcoming auctions. 160 acres in Pembina County, 154 acres in Brown County, Minnesota. Also, equipment auctions, the South Dakota 2025 Spring Equipment Auction. That is March 11 with 2 different rings. Along with that and more land for sale all across the upper Midwest, go to pifers.com today. The 25th Annual LBS Angus Production Sale, March 12th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Sydney Livestock Auction. Selling 80 yearling bulls and 90 fancy replacement heifers. Some of the sires include TK Circuit Breaker, Styles Jumbo, TK Stunner, BSF Resilient, and many more. These bulls are developed for the cattle producer on a high roughage for their health and longevity. Contact Ryan or Butch Sorensen for more information or go to DV Auction. The 25th Annual LBS Angus Production Sale, March 12th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Sydney Livestock Auction. Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, bowmanlivestockmarketing.com. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's a tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran owned and operated. Medicine Rocks Angus Ranch and Spring Angus out of Ekalaka, Montana remind you about their sale coming up April 25th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Bowman Livestock Market, Bowman, North Dakota. Selling 75 head of bulls featuring Sons of Wolverine, Summit, Rimfire, Medrock Beaver Creek, and many more. Medicine Rocks and also Spring Angus invite you to their annual sale, April 25th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Bowman Livestock Market, Bowman, North Dakota. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale is Sunday, March 9th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time at Lemon Livestock. Selling 50 Black Angus bulls with sires like Ellingson Brickhouse, SAB Downpour, Ellingson Badlands, Ellingson Navigator, and Sits Resilient. Whether you're looking for cow bulls or heifer bulls, the Cadiz Ranch has you covered. For videos and a catalog, go to DV Auction. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale coming up on Sunday, March 9th, Lemon Livestock. Welcome back, everybody. It is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition on a beautiful Saturday morning, March 8th. Live and local here. Oren Lesmeister is my guest here out of South Dakota. Parade, South Dakota. Or is it, or French, is it Parage, South Dakota?
Well, some people you say Paraday.
Paraday?
So it was French, though, yes, at one time.
There you go. So, you and I, during the break here, we were discussing, we're both sitting on a lot of boards. You're probably on more higher level boards, but I sit on a local broadband board. I sit on our state board for Broadband Association in North Dakota. And then I also am the PAC-T chairman that I got elected here last year. So it takes a lot of things. And it's the reason, though, why I bring this up is, North and South Dakota, we're just at a NTCA convention in San Antonio. And big thanks for John Armin and Levi that filled in for me during that time. But we get to sit around with everybody from around the United States and Canada and talk about broadband and internet and fiber optic and maybe even some satellite stuff. We are very fortunate in the North and South Dakota side of things to have our rural cooperatives who spent so much money and are still doing that to vastly improve fiber optic throughout the entire 2 states here that we have. And that allows us to do what we're doing here today. Right. I'm remote broadcasting and going on the best radio stations in North and South Dakota, and all because of great internet. So very fortunate to have that.
Correct. Oh, absolutely. Through rural development here, we do a lot of rural water system work for people. And without the water system here that we have, oh boy, times would be tough. Really tough too. So fiber optic, phone lines, rural water, REA, as you put it. We're pretty blessed here.
Well, you look at the what was one of the classes I went to. They said they started surveying a whole bunch of people, and they said, what are your needs, actual needs? Electricity and water were, of course, up there. And now internet. Internet has now become a need instead of a luxury item. It is now a need in many, many rural areas. You're looking at telehealth, Veterans Association. You love doing the telehealth with
telehealth.
That. And it's great to work in a cooperative side of things, because they always have these meetings. It's funny, we have the rural broadband conventions in cities that don't have rural internet. And their internet's terrible in the cities. It's just terrible. So when we come back, we're so excited to come back home because we have good internet again. But anyway, we were talking about the eminent domain and private property rights. Let's talk a little bit about South Dakota. Clay Peterson here, he just texted before we started. He said South Dakota had some great legislative bills, gun bills that passed in South Dakota. And one of them was a campus carry bill. Do you know much about that?
Well, just briefly, I didn't pay a lot of attention to it. It allows, if I remember right, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but you got to have a permit to carry just like you would. And I don't know if at one point I knew somebody was trying to make it to where it was an enhanced carry permit before you could carry on the college campus. But back to a safety issue, that one's been debated also for a while. Is it needed? Is it not? Is it personal safety? I don't think there's a right or wrong answer to it. I guess for the ones that do want to carry, I guess I'm happy for them. Does it make others nervous that people are going to, be known to be carrying guns now? I suppose it will.
You're always going to have those people that'll get nervous for that. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. And you try to weigh out both sides of the, problem and make the best decision you can. And this year they allowed it to happen. So, all we can do is be reactive and see how it works out. I'm hoping for the best, of course.
Wasn't South Dakota one of the first to allow the school boards allow somebody like a teacher or somebody proficient to carry in the schools? I mean, you guys were like the leaders of that in the nation at one point. It was like 5-6 years ago.
There were some other states that were doing it already also, but Sentinel programs. Yes, last year we had a heck of a debate right within our own caucus. just people and their different feelings. But you take some of these rural areas, especially out in southwestern South Dakota, on the reservations there and stuff, where the police officers are so far out that it may take them 45 minutes to an hour to respond to an incident at school. So yes, there's certainly times it's needed. We don't have the resource officers in these small rural school systems that others do in the larger cities and towns, and it's an education thing. It's not a right or wrong thing. It really comes down to an education thing, where we're trying to educate the urban legislators on what rural life is like.
Yeah. How does that go over? Because
good, actually.
Good.
It's something I've said forever is have a conversation, not an argument. If it takes 3 days of getting to a point you can sit down and talk, it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. And I'll into that, I seated a gal from Sioux Falls on the Ag Committee. There was a little flub that whether I could be on the Ag Committee or not while I was minority leader. Anyway, so I seated a gal from Sioux Falls on the Ag Committee. The only option I had with the limited people we have here in Democratic Party in South Dakota. Well, with that being said, she took it wholeheartedly, and she has learned. She has dug into it. She has become very, very passionate about it, and she's also a vegetarian. But she's one of the vegetarians that she'll order you a steak with her meal if she can have your salad. So she'll swap you.
She's not the one that's pushing it on you and like.
No, absolutely not. Okay. No. Okay. And it's been actually very refreshing. I listened to some committee testimony this year, and the questions she asked, it's a whole different viewpoint. It's something that us old farmers and ranchers take for granted, and we just nod our head and kind of roll along because we know it. And then she has some off-the-wall questions that you go, where did that come from? But great questions, and gets more information out there. So it's all education. And turning her around, seeing our side of things now, she's gone out to some people's farms and ranches in the Sioux Falls area and spent days with them. And she has a whole different appreciation for it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the big things. If we could take a lot of the city folk and actually show them what we do, it would change a lot of their minds, and no doubt about that.
Yes, it would.
And that's like serving as the chairman of the PAC-T committee up here in North Dakota has forced me to look at both sides.
Correct.
And that is something that I can admit I was not doing that before. I can admit that, right? You get stuck in your ways, right, Oren? I mean, that's how things go back in the day. So, yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Some of the other gun bills that were down here, one that I'm really curious about was a Senate Bill 78. And that moved us from using a weapon at night that had a .225 bullet size up to 3.312 or 308, however you want to say it.
Yeah.
During night vision, we've had this discussion for quite a few years in South Dakota. We'd bumped it up to that. We'd stripped back some regulation on having to have landowners with you and different things. I'm really curious. I did not get to hear the whole testimony on why, but I'm fine with it and everything. But I guess going to a 308 at night, I shoot mostly a 222, and so for me, I'm really curious as reasoning behind. But the governor did sign it, so.
You and I are going to have a discussion on this on the other side of the break, I think. Then.
Okay.
I think this is going to be fun here because I'm just setting up a new one, and North Dakota has different thermal regulations, and we'll discuss that here.
Correct.
Anyway, we're up against our break here, and we'll be back. Oren Lesmeister is my guest here. If you have questions, comments, if you want to text them to me, my cell phone number is 701-425-6651. That's 701-425-6651. I'm also live chatting on my YouTube channel. You can feel free to call in with any questions and comments. 888-9-DAKOTA. It's a toll-free number, and you'll be put on hold, and we'll get to your call as soon as we can. More coming up. Dakota Prairie Outdoors continues on a beautiful Saturday morning across the Dakota Territory. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale is Sunday, March 9th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time at Lemon Livestock. Selling 50 black Angus bulls with sires like Ellingson Brickhouse, SAB Downpour, Ellingson Badlands, Ellingson Navigator, and Sits Resilient. Whether you're looking for cow bulls or heifer bulls, the Cadiz Ranch has you covered. For videos and a catalog, go to DV Auction. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale coming up on Sunday, March 9th, Lemon Livestock.
For over 80 years, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been a leader in ag financing because we understand the business of creating relationships is more than an interest rate. Agriculture is a foundation to the community, and we are here to help your operation expand, grow, and continue to the next generation. Talk to our ag lending team today.
Community looking out for you. At Dakota Community Bank and Trust, that's what we do.
Equal housing lender.
If you're in the market for red Angus bulls with performance, efficiency, and longevity, check out the 2025 private treaty offering from Dry Creek Ranch. Sons out of Duff Red Blood, HXC Allegiance, 6 Mile Timberlake, and Wasm Seneca are up for grabs. We are committed to providing the highest quality genetics to help maximize your herd's productivity and long-term success. Stop in at the ranch anytime near Amadon, North Dakota, or give us a call at 701-523-8285 to visit about the bulls. Check out our program at drycreekranchnD.com or view our private treaty info on DV Auction.
Piper's Auction and Realty would like to invite you to their upcoming auctions. 160 acres in Pembina County, 154 acres in Brown County, Minnesota. Also, equipment auctions, the South Dakota 2025 Spring Equipment Auction. That is March 11 with 2 different rings. Along with that and more land for sale all across the upper Midwest, go to pifers.com today. The 25th Annual LBS Angus Production Sale, March 12th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Sydney Livestock Auction. Selling 80 yearling bulls and 90 fancy replacement heifers. Some of the sires include TK Circuit Breaker, Styles Jumbo, TK Stunner, BSF Resilient, and many more. These bulls are developed for the cattle producer on a high roughage for their health and longevity. Contact Ryan or Butch Sorensen for more information or go to DV Auction. The 25th Annual LBS Angus Production Sale, March 12th, 2 p.m. Central Time, Sydney Livestock Auction. Bowman Livestock Marketing, serving the tri-state area for all of your livestock marketing needs. Eastern Montana, North Dakota, and South Dakota. You can be sure of great care for your cattle and top price at sale time. Call Austin Snook at 307-290-2161. That's 307-290-2161 for more information or just to talk cattle markets. You can also find them on Facebook and go to their website, bowmanlivestockmarketing.com. This portion of the program is brought to you by Freedom Repair. Whether it's a tractor, baler, your cutter, your combine, or air seeder, Freedom Repair comes to you and helps you get fixed up and back in the field. 19 plus years experience. Give Lucas Kelly a call at 701-440-1945. That's 701-440-1945. Freedom Repair, veteran owned and operated. Medicine Rocks Angus Ranch and Spring Angus out of Ekalaka, Montana remind you about their sale coming up April 25th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Bowman Livestock Market, Bowman, North Dakota. Selling 75 head of bulls featuring Sons of Wolverine, Summit, Rimfire, Medrock, Beaver Creek, and many more. Medicine Rocks and also Spring Angus invite you to their annual sale, April 25th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, Bowman Livestock Market, Bowman, North Dakota. MoPro Guide Service, the best on Lake Oahe. Brent and his staff will give you the most enjoyable fishing experience, always having the latest in electronics, gear, and the most comfortable Lund boat on the water. Fish with somebody who lives in Mobridge, South Dakota, the heart of Lake Oahe. If you need a place to stay, the Morest Motel has newly updated rooms with free internet, a family-owned and operated business. Go to OaheWalleyes.com. That's OAHE Walleyes.com for the best fishing experience Lake Oahe has to offer. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale is Sunday, March 9th, 1 p.m. Mountain Time at Lemon Livestock. Selling 50 black Angus bulls with sires like Ellingson Brickhouse, SAB Downpour, Ellingson Badlands, Ellingson Navigator, and Sits Resilient. Whether you're looking for cow bulls or heifer bulls, the Cadiz Ranch has you covered. For videos and a catalog, go to DV Auction. The Cadiz Ranch second annual Angus seed stock sale coming up on Sunday, March 9th, Lemon Livestock.
I hope you'll still
Welcome back, everybody. It is Dakota Prairie Outdoors Saturday edition. I got to say, it's a beauty. I haven't been outside yet, but it looks like a beauty here today. Oh, we're talking with Oren Lesmeister out of South Dakota here, Parade, South Dakota area, a farmer, rancher, and former legislator. And before the break, we were going to discuss a little bit about what size caliber, about thermal hunting. But before that, let's go to the phone lines here. Let's go with Jesse here, my insurance agent. I just told a story about turning in claims on coyotes there, Jesse, but welcome to the program. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, I missed the first 10, 15 minutes of the show, so I didn't catch that, but I just wanted to call in and thank the broadband companies in North and South Dakota, because I'm on a rural electric board, and a lot of the national meetings I end up at, a lot of the RECs are having to deal with trying to get internet to their customers. And in North Dakota, we don't have to mess with that because the broadband cooperatives do such a good job here. So I like that conversation you guys had before the break. But in reality, I called in about this next topic. I'm excited. I'm ready. I want to hear what this is all about. Let's go.
Okay. So South Dakota, explain this here, Oren. South Dakota has a caliber restriction, size of caliber you can use for thermal hunting, right?
Correct.
And
so several years ago, when we started to allow thermal hunting, there was quite a few restrictions on it. It was 22 caliber and below. We bumped that up to 225. Then we went to, you need to have some landowner permission. You couldn't do it within public walk-in areas or game fish park lands, things like that. Yeah. Quite a few of them been stripped back. We can use thermal in South Dakota year-round for predator depredation. I know, and if there's a game fish and parks person out there or somebody knows better, but I do believe, if I remember the regs right, we can use artificial light from January through like August 1st, I think, somewhere in August, and that would be a spotlight, flashlight, things like that. But and then you cannot during the big game season. Right. But as far as thermal, we can use thermal here in South Dakota year round.
But you can only use 225 and under.
Until now. Now they just bumped it up to 0.312 or like a 308 is what I call it.
And you said, I just don't understand why you'd need that. And that's where that sparked up this conversation.
Well, for me personally, yeah, like I said, my thermal's mounted on a 222.
Yeah.
The furthest shot I've made with that and actually killed something was about 330 yards. My thermal, I've got, I'm not plugging here, but I've got one of the Pulsar Trail 2 XP50As.
Yep.
And I can see really, really good with it. And I know there's new ones out there that are even better yet. So I understand some of the concern going away, when the guys that are using the really good optics and thermals, it won't be an issue. But there's a lot of them out there that are older generations. They're not as good. Maybe don't have as good quality. What's over the hill, things like that. All them questions that still come into play with it. But and it's just a safety concern for everybody. But no, I use mine all the time. As you know, I send you Snapchats of coyotes hunting.
Yeah, because a fall caver, that makes a lot more sense to sit back in a t-shirt. But I'll tell you, I'm looking at setting up a 6.5 Creed just for thermal, just as a step up, because right now I have mine on a 223, and I personally limit myself from shooting past 250 yards just because of the capability of my 223. And I'd like to reach out to that 3, maybe 3.5, especially on our prairie dog town. I mean, it's a nice flat mile long surface. I mean, I know that's a coyote. I know there's nothing behind it. So Jesse, your take on him, not, I mean, 222. Come on. We got to get a little, we got to teach Oren a little bit more. Come on. There's a plus and minus to this. The 222 has basically zero recoil. So follow-up shots and being able to keep in the scope, that's a great, great option. I think the 222 is underutilized in general. But with that said, we've experienced a lot of, like you said, Oren, where you've actually hit and killed. We've got so much ground here, and eastern South Dakota, you've got to have it too, to where
you can see these dogs with the older optics. My optic's almost 10 years old already, but I can still pick a coyote out at 6, 7, 800 yards.
Yep.
It's not clear enough for me to take that shot, but I know it's coming. But I can take a shot at 450. I can't do that with a 22 caliber unless I'm shooting a 22 Creed with one of the new 80, 90 grain bullets. Now, for me, I want the larger caliber because I'm going to buck the wind. With North Dakota, it's South Dakota. It's the days that are calm, you can count on one hand.
Yeah.
So that bigger, heavier bullet, you're fighting that wind so much better. Once you get past 250 yards, I can calculate drop out to miles, but that wind is such an issue. So that's why I want to use that bigger caliber. And I guess to play the devil's advocate on what you said, Oren, on what's over the horizon and what's in my background, for me, that's a situation day or night. That's just a hunter's efficacy deal where I think too many people take those horizon shots or are hunting areas that they're not familiar with, even in the daylight, and don't know that there's a farmstead or something over the hill. So that's a hunting issue in general that everybody needs to just make sure they keep in mind, pre-scout and get out there and be ready. But I'm just, the one thing that I wish North Dakota would follow is the fact that you guys can use night vision year round for depredation purposes, sporting purposes. They're a predator. They're a nuisance species. In North Dakota, we're shut off after March 15th. Well, most guys aren't even calving yet. And that's tough. There's some laws where Scott, as a rancher, can still use his under certain guidelines, but I just don't understand why North Dakota doesn't open it up like South Dakota. That's where you guys definitely have it right.
Well, and get back to your comments with the larger caliber and stuff. You're absolutely right. Day or night, it is a hunter's responsibility. If your finger's on the trigger, you're responsible for where that bullet is going. Period. That's just how it is. Just for me though, at night out there, I'm the same way. I can see them coyotes come forever. 9 out of 10 times, I turn on a calf ball and off my, whether it's off my Lucky Duck or a Fox Pro or whatever, and I can get them coyotes to run to me. I mean, run to their death pretty much.
Wow.
Or even a fawn bleat, using something that they're looking for at that time as a food source. So that 1st of September, especially when the females are running them pups and teaching them to kill, you can get them to come right to you. But I'm not saying people shouldn't use a 308. For me personally, I just use a 2250. So
yeah.
Well, there we are. I agree with you, Jesse. March 15th is coming up here in next week already. So, and I'm just starting a calf here in about next 10 days. Here is when I'm going to start dropping some calves, and it is too bad it takes it away from a guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'll listen to the rest of the show. I'm up in Watford City for a kids basketball tournament. I got to head into the gym. Oren, I love it when you come on the show. It's always good conversation. I'll listen to the rest, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 888-9-DAKOTA, 888-932-5682 if you want to call in here. Of course, brought up some good points there about differences even between North and South Dakota on predator control. It's amazing. You just cross that border. It's like a whole new world in South Dakota. What made the legislator and the Game and Fish come together and allow, I know you guys, if you have private landowners, can fly their own private land for coyotes and take care of that. How did you guys come up with that, or has it always been like that?
Well, not always. I mean, don't get me wrong. We had some growing pains, 25 years ago here too. Different directors, different secretaries. A lot of it was our Game, Fish, and Parks personnel sitting down with landowners. Literally in their houses, sitting down, not at a forum somewhere, but going door to door and taking the bashing, taking the butt whoopings and everything else, but taking it to heart and going back and doing what they could to change laws. Yeah. Not everything's perfect. Don't get me wrong. There's more that could be done, but they have come a long ways in being more landowner friendly in that aspect. And there, we have a difference between East and West River even here. Mm-hmm. There's different things that go on East River with the migratory waterfowl flight paths. They have different predators per se. So, you know, it's not one size fits all either. So you get up into Harding County, just south of you, and that's a whole different, you know, there to here. Me to Watertown, South Dakota is a whole different thing where they hunt a lot of sloughs and different things. So there's, you know, they've really been trying to be adaptive to what everybody's needs are. We have a game commission that has some pretty good people on it that reviews this stuff for the game fish and parks too, before they even present a new law or pulling back some regulations or whatever. So, I think we've come a long ways in 25 years from what it was.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it seems like it works very well. And I live so close to the South Dakota border and the Montana border, and it's like night and day rules just 17 miles and 60 miles away from me. And it's just crazy. Now, you're on the Cheyenne Reservation.
Correct.
Right. Different rules on the reservation, game fish laws than the rest of the state outside of the reservation too. Does the South Dakota legislature have anything to do with that, or that's totally separate, isn't it?
Well, it's separate, but you know, they can still work together on a lot of things also.
Okay.
Yes, the game fish and parks here in Eagle Butte has their own set of rules within the reservation, you know, the tribal game wardens and stuff. And they control a lot of the tribal ground, BIA grounds, things like that. They can come on if asked to with some private property stuff. But yeah, a lot of the private property then is supposed to be controlled by the South Dakota Game Fish and Parks. And there's times it's confusing. There's times that out area hunters, non-resident, non-member hunters come in and they get tags, and they have a presumption that they can just kind of go anywhere and everywhere. And there again, that's an education that you ask them why they're where they are and how, and explain to them. And 99.9% of them apologize. They're good about it, and they, you know, leave, or they ask if they could hunt then. There's a few that just think they have a license and they can go anywhere yet. And that's ones that kind of start ruining it for everybody. But no, you just, the biggest thing is there again, Scott, education.
Yes.
You know, reach out to the different game fish and parks divisions and find out the rules. It's that simple.
Like you said too before about game and fish sitting down with private property owners and just actually sitting down and talking with them. That's a huge thing too. So North Dakota has I just was searching through some stuff this morning. I want to throw this one past you a little bit. Get your perspective of a bill here. HCR Bill 3024. It says this resolution urges Congress to transfer the management of all national grassland property within the state from the U.S. Forest Service to the National or Natural Resource Conservation Service, NRCS. And I was just curious on your take on that. Because I deal with the Forest Service, you know, through our board. I got a lot of Forest Service ground around this area. I'm surrounded by it. Would it be better to keep it on a local type thing, and I could just go in and talk with my NRCS office? And what's your take on that whole thing?
Well, just what you said there, it'd be great just to be able to go to your local NRCS office. But my question is, what regulations are they throwing with it yet?
Right. They don't have that.
Are they just passing the buck from grasslands to NRCS, and it's all the same regs? Maybe a guy can live with them. Can NRCS actually go out there and change things to see, you know, what we're doing is better actually than some of the regulations they have? I would hope so, and make them changes on the go. Mm-hmm. I don't think it would be a bad move. It would just depend on what baggage they bring with them, I guess.
Now, I sent this to a neighbor of mine here, and I sent it to one of our county commissioners. And the county commissioner says Utah has always led the charge to transfer Forest Service land to state management. He says, I'm not necessarily against it, but hunting groups have been adamantly against the idea for fear that the state would sell off some of that land. And I've never looked at the hunting groups. They band together, man. There's a lot of stuff they can do. There's a lot of stuff they can change.
Yep. Yeah, there sure is. You know, and there's good, bad, and indifferent within them groups, depending on how they come together. But I would still, my hope would be, Scott, that they would be able to, at the local level, if that move was made, be able to move on the fly. Look at, we got 3 years in a row drought. What do we need to do to mitigate it? Do we need to put water on these? What can we do to keep the ecosystems good in the way they are? And working with the producer right there on the site instead of, emails back and forth and asking if you can do this or that. That would be my hope. If this shift would come, that would be my hope, that the local person on site, the NRCS office, could just help make some of them determinations.
So I'm going to tell you a story about a water project with the Forest Service. And this is not that, I mean, they work well with us, but this is the mindset that's different from one person to the next. Okay. When we first originally were doing this waterline project, we drove the area, and those of us that were there on the ground said, we'd like to go around this hill because that hill's nothing but scoria. And you're not going to trench the scoria hill and have that water line stay without getting some damage to it, right? So we'd like to go around this, and the guy's like, no, we're going to follow this old fence line, and this is the way it is. And that guy was not from around the area, right? He was somebody brought in, some biologist or I don't know what. Anyway, we started going with that. We're like, well, if we have to, we have to, right? And we started into that scoria hill, man, and it was big, chunky stuff. Mm-hmm. And we stopped and we called them, and they sent out somebody that was from North and South Dakota that is back in the area. And he came, he's like, why didn't you just go around this? And we're like, exactly. We tried to do that the first time. So it depends on who the person is that you're dealing with to get these NEPA studies and basically all the paleontology work and all that in order to do it, because you could literally see where the farm, it used to be farmed back in the 30s and 40s, and now it's pasture. You can see that because it's crested wheatgrass, right, instead of native grass. And but it all depends on who you're working with, Oren.
It really comes down to that, yes. Yeah. And that's where I would really like to see that be at the local level. Yeah. I think that would be a good move.
Clay texted in. He says, I'm all for transferring to state control at a minimum. If it comes to state management, then it should be in the North Dakota Trust Lands Department. So, yeah, interesting take on that. It'll be interesting to follow that bill here. I didn't know that was one of them here at the past committee with the 6-0. So, yeah. Well, before we go, we got 2 minutes here and a minute and a half. Anything last minute you want to discuss, talk about, or joke about?
Well, we're talking about game, fish, and park stuff. There was actually a bill in South Dakota this year, also Senate Bill 144, that it limits the spending on like capital expenditures and purchases of buildings and land and stuff of the game, fish, and parks. I don't know. I have a suspicion I know why that bill was brought after the last couple of years, but I'd have to talk to people, really see why. That's at the governor's desk, I do believe, to be signed. Maybe he did sign it already, but I know it was at his desk anyway. Yeah. But something I talked with a guy the other day about, elk. We have prairie elk, and I know you do too. Yep. We're getting more of them, and I know a lot of the residents love seeing them and everything else. But like the Game Fish and Parks guy told me, he said, that's going to be our next worst enemy. He said, if we don't manage them, he said, you want to see damage? He said, we are already paying horrendous amount of damage and trying to put up panels around hay corrals and feed grounds. And he said, you take 60, 70 elk, get into a soybean field or a corn field. He said, we're not talking a couple of white-tailed deer here. He said, we're talking about animals that can just take out acres all of a sudden. Yeah. So that was an interesting take on it for me. I had not thought of it that way. But he said, that's going to be South Dakota's prairie elk deal is going to be the next big thing for them to have to try to start looking at managing somehow. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's, same thing up in the North Dakota side, a lot of damage on, they can really do a lot of damage, no doubt. Oren Lesmeister, Parade, South Dakota. Appreciate you coming on the program. Stay with me. We're going to do a little bit more on the After Hours YouTube channel here. We can get into a little bit of that too. So thank you so much, Oren. Appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.
All right. More coming up your way next week. And you can listen to my show on the daily side right here on each and every radio station and a few more across the Dakota Territory. We'll have a little bit more on the YouTube After Hour channel coming up your way. Thanks for tuning in today. Eat some meat, drink some milk, wear fur, wear wool, and support hunting, ranching, and farming. Have yourself a good Saturday, everybody. All right. right stations. Thank you so much. All right, we'll give them a little bit here, Oren, so they make sure that their system took over. Don't want to start getting too crazy still be on the air. What's my ivermectin routine? Looking for a good one. Okay. Well, so I've been doing this ivermectin for 5 years now.
Yep.
I honestly can say that besides a cold, right? I mean, every once in a while, but I have really felt really good. Now,
good.
It could be a placebo effect, but that's okay in my head.
Yep. As long as you feel good.
Yep.
That's a whole nother discussion for another day on how it actually works and different things. But, and we'll talk about fenbenazole sometime, or Safeguard, or whatever you want to call it. So,
well, I've heard some pretty good successful stories. Yeah, exactly. I've had 2 people that are very close to me try that. Was it Frontline? And it's surprisingly, they checked out clean.
Yep.
Right.
I'll have people go to Mid-American Ag Research on Facebook. I got to say that right. I got a different word for it, but anyway, on Facebook, and Dr. Don Bliss has all of his research all the way back to the 70s in there, when it was mebenzenol, and they took it from him, actually.
Really?
And he calls cancer a parasite, not a disease.
What was it? Mid-American
Ag Research.
There it is.
And it's all about fenbenazole and Safeguard dewormer, and then he dumped just about all of his research. Now John Hopkins is supposedly picking it up and working with it, and
like they said, there's no money in healthy people.
Exactly. You said it all right there.
Yeah, which is too bad. I got a benefit tonight. I'm going to go over to one of my neighbors. Good friends here got breast cancer and fighting that, halfway through treatments right now.
Yep.
And it's just a son of a gun. I mean, it's not, I think pretty much everybody has had to deal with somebody having it or had it in their family or something. So.
Actually, my mom died of it. I got a first cousin, next door neighbor right now that has, I can never say this word right, melanoma or whatever, brain cancer, stage 4 brain cancer. Healthy. We called him the Iron Man of our family. He never was sick. He ran a dairy farm with his dad, 4:30 in the morning, 4:30 in the evening. You're married to that deal. Could eat the German chocolate double fudge brownie cakes and all this stuff. And we gained 2 pounds watching him. He lost a pound eating it, and never sick a day in his life. And then bam, he just started stumbling one day and having kind of headaches, and went in and finally had some MRIs done, and it's just not good.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Healthy people don't make money.
Yeah. Well, which is too bad. It really is.
Yep.
And guy sees it that way. Well, I tell you what, I appreciate you. I think I'm going to get out and go see if I can feed some cows. And
you bet.
I got to go.
You haven't done that yet?
No.
Oh, we're gonna have to get on you.
I'm on Mountain Time Zone, my friend. I take my Saturdays. My radio shows my precedence over until I get out. But no, I'll go out and get them taken care of, and then I gotta try to get some water tanks set up and turned on, and some heaters put in them, getting ready for calving season here. That's my weekend goal.
The only blessing here with this mild weather we've been having again is I shut off all my tank heaters. We don't have any water in the creeks, and the one dam that has some water in it, I'm not near, but just shutting nothing against REA or anything, but just shutting the electricity off to them heaters on some of them and turning the propane tanks off on the others has been a godsend.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I put in 2 calving pastures I put in thermal sinks. I don't know if you, okay.
I use Cobettes. I sell them, but same thing.
Virtually same thing. Yeah. I have one green one and one orange one, and the orange one is definitely vastly superior because they're made from the same brothers. The 2 brothers in Canada made them, and then they split up. And
split up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's the same thing, but yeah. Oh man, what a lifesaver those things have been.
Oh gosh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. So okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Oren.
You bet. No, anytime, Scott. Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.
Holy moly. Okay, what we got here? All right, I got to be more specific on my okay, I can do that. What's the text messages here? Jesse, I'll call you in between. Okay. All right. Clay started feeding later afternoon years ago, and cows seem to have done better through cold nights, and I truly get more calves on today. Yes, I switch my feeding routine when I get my cows moved out. I do it 2 weeks before calving should start, and then I start feeding in the evenings is what I do. So, yeah. All right. Good show. Came on late. Cash had soccer. Good enough. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in today on the YouTube side of things. And hey, 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and we're going to go kill some more coyotes here today. I think today's the day. Have yourself a good one, everybody.